Okay, so thank you everybody for being here. So this meeting that we're having today, this is our annual proclamation with the mayor. It is being hosted by the East Hawaii Coalition to Prevent Child Abuse and Neglect, and the coalition is exactly what it sounds like. It's a group of organizations, individuals who are concerned about the health and well-being of children and families, and working together to educate our community about child abuse and neglect, about working together to support families, to find ways to support families, and working together to build a stronger community that supports healthy families. And we're so thrilled to have Mayor Mitch Roth here. He's been a great advocate even before he was mayor, and I'm just honored that he takes the time out of his day to be with us to present the proclamation in person.
Thanks, Paul. You know, I wish we could all be in person. I guess next year we will all be in person. This year we could have actually been all in person. It really is an honor to be reading this proclamation and to be working with all of you. I've spent most of my career as a prosecutor dealing with a lot of these different kinds of issues. And it's been one of the things that has been a passion of mine to work on things such as child abuse, domestic violence, and how all those things are all related. So I have this proclamation that I'll try to read and then maybe zoom in on so you guys can see. There really is something as I try to see it there. It's blurred, but I'll read it to you and then see if I can zoom in on it for you. So, County of Hawaii Proclamation. Whereas child abuse and neglect are ongoing complex problems in our society affecting many children in the County of Hawaii, and whereas our children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable assets, and whereas every child is entitled to be treated with aloha, loved, cared for, and nurtured to feel secure and be free from verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect. And whereas it is the responsibility of every individual who comes into contact with a child to protect and malama that child's inalienable rights to a safe and nurturing childhood. And whereas communities that provide social support, knowledge of parenting, child development, and concrete resources essential to cope with stress, ensure children grow to their full potential, and whereas effective child abuse and neglect prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created among citizens, human services agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas the County of Hawaii has dedicated individuals and organizations who have partnered with East Hawaii Coalition to Prevent Child Abuse and Neglect to counteract child abuse by increasing community awareness, maintaining prevention programs, implementing educational programs and activities to strengthen families. Now, therefore, I, Mitchell D. Roth, Mayor of the County of Hawaii, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 as Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Month in the County of Hawaii, and encourage all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support our Hawaii Island families to prevent child abuse and neglect and strengthen the communities in which we live. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the County of Hawaii to be affixed. And it's signed Mitchell D. Roth, Mayor, County of Hawaii. And I will see if I can zoom in on this so you can actually see it.
Tricky with the blurry background.
Let me see if I can undo the blur. I don't know why they put, there we go. So that is the proclamation. I just want to really, there it is. Thank everybody for everything you do. I see Alan. I think I saw Jan Marie from the prosecutor's office where I've worked, and I'm so glad to see that they're still very involved with this work, because it is so important to our county. I see a lot of other friends on this Zoom cast, and I just want to thank you all really for all you do for our children and to make Hawaii Island a better, safer place for all of us. My hats go off to you, and if there is anything that you guys have coming up that deals with this, let me zoom out. God, it's a scary photo. I just realized I way in there on myself. If there's anything that I can do or the mayor's office can do to assist you in this mission, please do not hesitate to ask. So just want to say thank you to everybody. And happy to answer any questions, Paul, if anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much, Mayor Roth. Again, honor to have you here and have your support.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. He opened the floor for questions. Nobody said anything, so I'm going to move on quickly. So, Mayor Mitch Roth, you're welcome to stay or part as you want, as you need. We are going to continue with the next part of our program, which is going to be Dawn Rego-Yee, who is our second guest speaker today, who will be presenting on the Benevolent Childhood Experiences. I think last year we did the ACEs, the Adverse Childhood Experiences, which is super important research, but can kind of lead to people getting into a little bit hopeless situation. And I believe the Benevolent Childhood Experiences offers us hope and a way forward. So I'm going to hand it off to Dawn.
Hello, Paul and Mayor Roth. So wonderful to be here with all of you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can I get a couple of thumbs up to make sure that you all can see my presentation, see my screen? Okay. Mahalo nui. I do have a video, a really, really short, like 2-minute video, a couple slides in. So if we have any audio issues, please stop me and let me know, and I can work on adjusting the settings on here in our virtual Zoom world. So mahalo nui for the wonderful proclamation this morning, Mayor Roth. Just really so appreciate your tireless dedication to uplifting keiki here in the county of Hawaii, and for the opportunity and being asked by the East Hawaii Coalition Against Child Abuse and Neglect, and Paul and Joy and all of you who make all of this work really, really possible. So just wanted to do a really quick presentation here on benevolent childhood experiences, positive childhood experiences, and also kind of bringing it home here to Hawaii to go and provide some cultural context, because we all operate and we live here in Hawaii, and really bringing that information home and how is it applicable to the work that we do here. So my name is Dawn Rego-Yee. I have a master's in social work degree from the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I did work for 14 years at the national headquarters for CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocates, which many of you may be familiar with in the work that you do. I am a trauma-informed care trainer. My kumu is Danny Goya with Ke Alohoaka and Associates, and he is part of the Community Resilience Initiative. So I just want to make brief mention also too that some of this material I am utilizing from Kaha and from Danny's work. So, and in the spirit, we are recording this to go and share Ike and Mana'o and to go and raise awareness about benevolent childhood experiences. But just, I really ask just to please be respectful of the content, especially things that are proprietary to Kaha and CRI. So I'm a training consultant, as I mentioned. I do work in the fields of forwarding community well-being through understanding trauma and stress, and most of all, well-being and healing. But really, most of all, I'm a mom. and I'm a wife, I'm a hula learner. I wanted to include this photo here of myself and my keiki. His name is Kekoa. Many of you have seen him in other Zooms that we have been in today. He is here at home with me today, so we will welcome him into this space. So wanted to go and start out with this olelo no'eau. A'ohe pau ka ike I ka halau ho'okahi. Not all knowledge is taught in the same school. So kind of recognizing that one can learn from many, many different sources, and really recognizing here that part of what makes us who we all are these different experiences and these different kind of kumus and mentors that we have had, and really kind of recognizing the importance of keiki and ohana, and that it's really critical for us to go and recognize kind of our shared part in raising the pu'o Hawai'i, our keiki. And we really honor their preciousness and potential through this. We also recognize the important mana'o and ike that is shared within families, and the importance of ohana connectedness, as well as community support. That's really vital to going and making sure that keiki learn about sense of self, the ohana system, place, as well as kuleana. So as we move into our talk, we will be talking about benevolent childhood experiences, and just please be aware that this may bring up some feelings and emotions. We really center all of our trainings, even these really short ones, on safety and connections. So even though we are kind of in this virtual world, we want to kind of establish this idea of safety and connection. So I offer this question to all of you. Who is one person or place who has taught or gifted something to you? Please go ahead and drop that into the chat. If you would like to go and share who may be one of your kumu or mentors, or maybe something a parent has taught you. I know my son, who's here, has been someone who has really consistently really just taught me so much in life about kindness and patience, and kuleana also too. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the chat box and see. Mahalo nui for all of the thoughts and responses. Love this. My tutu, my dad, my auntie. Wonderful. My ohana, my aunt, my partner, my hubby, my godmother. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing all of that in the chat. We really appreciate that, and really welcome all of these people that you bring with you into this space, because we all know how connected we all are to each other and to the work that we do. So I want to recognize all of the people who have made you who you are, and really welcome them into this space. So even as I cannot connect with you, really here, due to kind of the limitations of this training platform, as wonderful as it is and accessible as it is for many of us, please really go and take care of yourself, drink water, go ahead and move around, take breaks, and reach out if you need support. And continue to go and utilize the chat box for any thoughts, wonderings, or questions. That's always open and available to you. So starting out here, that we are all shaped by our experiences, and majority of our wiring is really this result of kind of daily life experiences that we have from our senses. And these early life experiences are really built into our body and kind of sets the stage for us to be prepared in the world. And maybe it's a dangerous world because that's one that we know of, or maybe it's a safe and nurturing world, but we really are shaped by our environment and it and these experiences and our interpretations of the world. But we're here today to go and talk about benevolent childhood experiences and these positive experiences and how we can bolster these. So I wanted to take a really quick moment to kind of think about what is resilience and what does that look like. We really had the ability last time to go and talk about adverse childhood experiences and the potential for impacts later on in life with potential for things like alcoholism and depression. There is a recording, as Paul had mentioned, from last year. We'll also be diving into it with a training later on this year, so keep an eye out for that. But today we really are going to focus on these positive things and resilience. So I have a really brief video. It's about 2 minutes long, created by the Center on the Developing Child at Harvard University. I'm going to close my mic and turn on the audio for this. So if we have any audio issues, please flag me and let me know.
Why do some people do well despite serious hardships? The science of resilience can help us find answers.
We define resilience as a good outcome in the face of adversity. The extent to which we can build capacities in all children early in their lives to be able to deal with whatever bumps in the road or major obstacles may be coming down the track. That's an investment in building strong human capital and healthy, productive adults.
Some children face more obstacles and adversity than others.
It's like having a parent with a major mental illness, growing up in a very socioeconomically disadvantaged community, going to schools that are not good, being exposed to violence in the neighborhood or in the home.
But some children do well despite these significant obstacles.
Resilience is that ability or set of capacities for positive adaptation, allowing you to keep in balance.
We're talking about the kinds of capacities and skills and the abilities that give people a sense of mastery and management of difficulty.
It's tempting to think about children as either having this resilient quality or not. But resilience is built over time, just as and in parallel with how the architecture of the brain is built over time.
It's not just in the person. It's in the interaction between the person and the environment.
So we care about resilience for the same reason that we care about promoting healthy development, because in many respects it is the same. We are interested in promoting resilience in children so that, despite the odds, more and more children can grow up to be productive citizens.
So there are a couple of things that this video mentioned that I wanted to really briefly highlight on. It mentioned about a couple of different challenges in life. So they have mentioned specifically mental illness in the home, poverty, struggling schools, which is actually something that is not on the ACE survey, and violence in the home. So, and thinking about like resilience and this ability, or as they define it, the set of capacities and positive adaptations that really allow for folks to go and keep in balance. And this idea that resilience is really built over time, and it's not something that you're innately born with, that these positive interactions between child and their environment, including the people and places and things that are there in order to go and support their growth and strengthen their resilience and ability to go and bounce back. And as they mentioned, like stay in balance, even in the face of adversity. So really kind of thinking about what are BCEs, Benevolent Childhood Experiences, and Positive Childhood Experiences. There are a number of studies and a number of tools that you can utilize. I will be talking about two here briefly today. And BCEs, I think for me, that's one that I really enjoy utilizing because it was specifically designed for cross-cultural use, including in rural areas, which I think is really, really great for our context here in Hawaii. So BCEs are these favorable early childhood experiences like healthy attachment bonds, effective parenting behaviors, connection to resources and community supports, and having a positive sense of self. These really are the ability to go and lay the foundation for these early healthy relationships later on in life. And these are also really critical to go and help support children and families as they navigate through these stressful times or trauma. So as we look through these 10 different questions, I ask you, which ones really resonate with you, and think about which ones were important in shaping maybe your early childhood. You can go ahead and drop that in the chat if you're comfortable and would like to. If not, just go and internally go and reflect on that question. I know for me, it's number 5. Did you have good neighbors? I actually live in the same house that I spent much of my early childhood years. I'm in Hilo. I had really, really wonderful neighbors. Then as well as now. I had an auntie who lived next door who would go and babysit for us. I had friends who lived down the street, and we used to go and ride our bikes and play after school and things like that. So really kind of thinking about this idea of how can we strengthen and support these experiences in the work that we do and in the programs that we're in, right? So for example, like looking at number 10, do you have a predictable home routine, like regular meals and a regular bedtime? Well, we can't necessarily control all of the meals or bedtime maybe. For those of us who maybe work in like a school or an educational setting, like having this idea of regular lunch times and consistent breakfasts. I know this is something that my son's school offers, and that they do pico every morning. They come together as a class, sometimes as a whole entire school. Oh, mahalo for the responses. I love seeing all of those. And teachers, they definitely make a ton of impact in lives. So really, even as workers, trying to encourage that children are attending school on a regular basis, even that is important for this idea of consistency, right? Maybe thinking about those of you who might be in, say, like early childhood education, like regular snack times, circle times, nap times. These are really good, predictable routines that can help to be set. And maybe those of you who maybe work in like parenting programs or home visiting programs and working directly with Ohana, and really kind of stressing and raising up a lot of these benevolent childhood experiences, and what does the home routine look like at home, and helping them to strengthen and maybe establish one if they don't have one, a regular one. So mahalo nui for continuing to drop those in the chat. Really love seeing those. Oh, a lot of them. 1, 2, and 3, friends in school. Yes. Wonderful. I'll move on to the second tool. It's the positive childhood experiences. And you'll notice that some of these are, they overlap a little bit, but there are some that are a little unique to this one, which is why I pulled out this particular tool. And these are a couple that really stood out to me. One was the first one, was able, before the age of 18, I was able to talk with my family about my feelings. This is a really interesting one that isn't included on the BCEs study or the BCEs scale, but this really kind of thinks and about this importance of social and emotional development within young people, right? And promotes this idea of connectedness and dialogue and relationship within Ohana. And this is, I feel, really important, and many of you also too, that this is really important right now, especially as we are in COVID. Our young people have for quite some time been missing, these opportunities for social development because of COVID and quarantine and physical and social distancing and all of these different things. So bringing this up, I think, is a really important one, especially during these times. I'll go and talk about number 5. So this one's also really, I love this one also too. Felt supported by friends, and really shows that peers are a really big support in these positive early relationships. Adult relationships are super, super critical and really super vitally important, but friends are really this idea of, they create belonging, right? With whether it's in the school environment or maybe after school or things like that. So being supported by friends is really, really important. And finally, the one that I especially really loved on this particular tool is number 3. Enjoyed participating in community activities. And this one feels especially relevant here in Hawaii. I mean, community and ohana traditions here for us are so vitally important, and really thinking about families as we start to gather safely again, doing baby luau's and graduations and, making imu together, and all of these traditions that had to be put on hold for a little bit because of COVID. We have things like, beach days. Those are important cultural traditions. I loved going to Bon Dance over the summers with my mom and my grandmother, and we used to take my son also too. So that for me is an important community tradition. And all of us who are here in East Hawaii, we have the return of another really important community tradition of Merry Monarch coming back later on this month. So between, the excitement of the competition and Hilo Town kind of shutting down for this important event, Ho'ike night and all the craft fairs and all of the ono food, these are really critical connections to traditions, our kupuna, our ancestors, our families, as well as our community also too. So I just wanted to bring that one up and also talk a little bit about and bring it home, since we're on the way here, making this of and from Hawaii. So really kind of looking at these last 2 tools that we had. The reality is those were created on the continent in some place that isn't here in Hawaii. So they may need a little bit of, say, interpretation, or really like recognizing and grounding in the positivity and strengths that are here in our culture and in our people and in our place in Hawaii. So I really wanted to go and make a brief talk a little bit about this particular tool that the study that I had found, and kind of grounding in some Ike Kupuna in some research that I did. These really look to our kupuna and their recollection of child rearing and the positivity and strengths within our culture here to go and recognize our what we did to go and raise our children and raise resilient, healthy people and have family cohesiveness in here. So the first one being Kuleana and the significance of Inoa and Mo'okuauhau. And this is really talking about the importance of and connectedness to name and naming traditions and practices, family histories, as well as genealogies here. This really helps to go and create a strong sense of self, strong sense of place, and really that ancestral connection and kuleana to all of it. The second point being aina, being piko to place. So this connectedness to place here in Hawaii, connectedness to your onehanau or your birth sands or your birthplace, where you really feel and can go to be connected and grounded. It also really recognizes our connection and kuleana to our aina, our responsibility to go and malama and steward our resources properly. So it's not just for ourselves, but really for future generations and for the connection to future generations. The third point being kupuna and the embodiment of aloha, and this depth of unconditional love and aloha between tutu and mu'opuna, grandparents and grandchildren, and the sharing of family meals together, connecting and really slowing down and spending quality time together, living and caring for one another in reciprocity. Number 4 being makua, laying the foundation of values. So recognizing the importance of parents and that whole entire generation of parents, and creating these extended family systems to go and support keiki and ohana, and really recognizing that we as parents, like, we don't necessarily go and raise children on our own. We have this saying around, like, it takes a village to go and raise a child. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with that one, right? But it's something that we of and from Hawaii, we really recognize the importance of the community connectedness, and that it took everyone to go and raise a child. This really helps to go and create, impart values and knowledge and traditions, development, different ways of being, and also establishing that kuleana also too. And finally, the cultural legacy. So connection to language, olelo Hawaii, traditional birthing practices, aipono, or healthy and pono foods, our traditions, farming, fishing, hula, oli, protocols and practices, and our different art forms. These are all really, really important to creating this cultural resilience and ohana resilience here in Hawaii. And I uplift these in addition to the benevolent childhood experiences and the positive childhood experiences as really important components of raising healthy, whole children and supporting connected and cohesive families that are really connected to ohana, connected to community, connected to place, and really to each other. So as we come to the close of my presentation, I really wanted to reiterate this safety and connection, consistent and caring adults within young people's lives, and the importance of this. Having positive experiences early on in life can really make all the difference. A support system or kai'ulu or community is especially vital for the children and families that you work with. I'm going to read this quote from Ali Crandall. I was doing some research and this really struck to me and kind of tied everything together of what I wanted to go and convey today. Everybody can make a difference and contribute to the well-being of children, especially if you're not a parent. Certainly, parents are the best place to help children receive the positive things, but parents and families need support. Neighbors, teachers, aunties, uncles, grandparents, community, church, religious leaders who work with children, volunteers, and other adults can intentionally try to build positive relationships with children. And when they do, it can be really meaningful to have lifelong impact on physical, emotional, social, and cognitive health. Even when a child has experienced ACEs, providing them with the positive can help to go and neutralize the impact. So in thinking about this particular quote that I just read to you, I put this community question out to you. How will you strengthen benevolent childhood experiences, positive childhood experiences, and the importance of cultural connectedness here in Hawaii to your ohana, the work that you do, as well as within your community? So would love to hear your thoughts in the chat. And I can go and just really quickly loop us back to Ohepau Ka'ike Ika Halau Ho'okahi, and really recognizing our that we do learn from multiple sources, and that each of us are really, really important in creating the this environment, a healthy, nurturing environment for our keiki to go and learn and thrive. And finally, mahalo nui to the East Hawaii Coalition Against Child Abuse and Neglect. Really, really appreciate this opportunity to have a quick learning opportunity with all of you on pieces and cultural connectedness. We do have a couple of save the dates coming up. Our Trauma Informed Care 101 coming up next month, May 19th, as well as ACEs, BCEs, and Protective Factors, and Cultural and Historical Trauma and Healing coming up later on this year. My contact information, and I'll also drop that in the chat, and I'll stop my share because I want to read what all of you have on the comments. So mahalo nui.
Thank you, Dawn. And yeah, so I put the website, the East Hawaii Coalition to Prevent Child Abuse and Neglect website in the chat. So we will post the information to register for Dawn's upcoming trainings. And so this is an opportunity for her, she's in the chat, or to, yes, there, thank you, Dawn.
Just go ahead and unmute also too, if folks have questions, thoughts, ideas, comments. Charlene, I see you raise your hand.
Yes, thank you. Years ago, we brought in some training on the 40 developmental assets, which are very similar to what you presented. What is your, I know it's from the continent, as you would say. What do you think?
I think all tools are really important. I think that having this ability, because like you had mentioned, you know, they are of the continent, but really being this ability to go and kind of pick and choose what goes and works here in Hawaii and making adaptation. I think that's one thing that kind of looking at our kupuna and how our kupuna lived and how even our ali'i lived, right? They were very traveled people and they went to go and travel and see the world. And what they did was they took and kind of brought back some of the best things that they saw and adapted it to Hawaii. So for me personally, as a practitioner, that's something that I really choose to go and do, is really number one, ground in who we are here in Hawaii, but also recognize that there is also a lot to go and learn from outside of the state. So mahalo nui. Charlene, did I answer your question on that one?
I'm still thinking.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not intimately familiar with that particular tool, but if it's a tool that is similar and useful to the work that you do, it looks like you're from Zonta Club, maybe?
Oh, no, I'm very retired. No. I'm just looking, okay. I'm looking at the issues on prevention, because I appreciate the history, because, you know, we all come from different history. So there's no one path, as you say, and it's normally blended here. And growing up, I had, there were values in my home, but I was a free range kid. So I don't think necessarily just because you grew up in Hawaii, it was very, you know, supported. I think it's not exactly, well, anyway, I have my own position on that, but I just wonder how much research has been done on Hawaii values as measured to like the Search Institute, which is, you know, based on a lot of research on the mainland cross-culturally too. And they have cross-cultural research.
What was that study that you had talked about? Sorry,
No, it's research that was done much earlier in time on the, similar to what you're saying. They call it different things, but it's based on the 40 developmental assets, and it's external, internal, it's all measured. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about it offline. It's okay.
Okay, sounds great. You have my email in the chat. Would love to connect with you more on that. Mahalo nui. Thank you, Alan, for dropping that that link in the chat. Always wonderful to get more resources, and really, I think the objective of today is really focusing on these early positive childhood experiences, because as Charlene mentioned, this importance of prevention. And the more that we can kind of instill these positive experiences in early on in life can really help to go and bolster and create that resilience and strengthen that resilience within young people and families. Were there any other questions? I haven't been able to go and look into the chat for any others.
Oh, okay. I think we might be good, which is fine. Everybody who comes to our meeting knows I love short meetings. We're all good, right? And so this is just, you know, I really felt it was important for us, you know, as part of this event because April is Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention and Awareness Month. You know, it's an important time for us to make an effort to really focus on that. And of course, Dawn, as a trainer, brings a lot of resources to the table. She'll be doing, I think it's the 24th, is that right? You had your slide before. I think it's the 24th that she will be doing.
Is it the 19th?
Oh, okay, I could be wrong. I got a lot of dates rolling around in my head.
Yep, I think it's Thursday, May 19th.
Thursday, May 19th.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, she will be doing another training. It is a limited, there is a limited capacity for that. So please sign up early. But there will also be trainings down the road. And if there continues to be interest, we will figure out ways to do even more trainings. So
a photo, Norm.
What's that?
Paul, how about a photo of the group?
Oh, a screenshot. Oh my goodness.
Oh, or if somebody can screenshot it, fine. I was going to take it with my camera, but
you can take a picture.
Okay, if everybody doesn't mind. Okay, be happy, smile. 1, 2. Okay, let me do the second screen. Hold on. I'll get everybody eventually.
That's a great problem to have. 2 screens, 3 screens.
Okay, good. Thank you,
All
everybody.
right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.